All right, we should be good.
All right.
Hey, my friend Rodney, good to see you, man. Thanks for taking a moment to chat with me.
Man, good to see you as well, my friend. I'm glad that we get a chance to do it virtually, but I hope we also get a chance to connect in person as well in these COVID times.
I know, man. Who you telling? Got it. I know we're navigating COVID and this new normal, and we're kicking off this year, January, with National Mentoring Month. And, wanted to sit down with different leaders like yourself across the city, not only leaders, I would say legends like yourself, to just, learn a little bit more about, what mentorship is meant to you and what it means to you. You're one of the first people I met when I came here to Atlanta about, 6 years ago now, and you've just been a big supporter of not only me, but big brothers and big sisters. And I appreciate that, and I want everybody who doesn't know you, so I'm sure everyone knows who you are and a lot about what you've been able to do in your journey, but it'd be great for everyone to just know a little bit about your journey, who you are, and the role that you play in the community, at Chick-fil-A, leading the foundation, which is amazing. You do work all around the country, but it'd be good for our viewers just to get to know you a little bit.
No, Kwame, it is great, and particularly the opportunity to be here for Mentorship and Mentorship Month is wonderful. So I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. This is home for me. As we were talking about off camera, I'm a long-suffering everything Atlanta, Falcons, Hawks, Braves, etc. I'm a Georgia Bulldog as well, so go Dogs.
Yes.
My father, Baptist minister, pastored on the west side at Paradise Baptist Church. And my mother, an educator. They both went to the AUC. My father went to Morehouse. My mother went to Clark Atlanta University. And I was born here and have really enjoyed the opportunity to call Atlanta home. I left, went off to the Air Force Academy and served my country, served our country. And for a number of years, got a chance to work at the Pentagon, a chance to work at NASA, work as a White House fellow, and then finally came back to Atlanta in 2010, around that time frame, and worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office with Sally Yates and Dave Namias there, who were the U.S. attorneys over me. And what was really pivotal about that was we noticed the number of young people that were in our courts. We also noticed the number of people of color that were in our courts. And at some point, we created a program, an anti-recidivism program, because one of the stats that we could not abide by and should not abide by is that within 3 years, 75% of those who were getting out of jail, returning citizens, were going back to jail. And so that was somebody's brother, that was somebody's father, that was somebody's mother and sister. And so somebody was being taken out of the community and there was a hole that was left. And so out of that, I met Dan Cathy, CEO of Chick-fil-A, and he had a heart for Atlanta, but particularly for children on the west side of Atlanta. And so we started the Chick-fil-A Foundation now 10 years ago, Kwame. And we started as a place-based foundation, really focused on uplifting the west side, uplifting those children, those schools, those neighborhoods, English Avenue, Vine City, Just Us, Washington Park, et cetera. And now we really are worldwide. So we're in Toronto with efforts there. We're in LA, we're in Puerto Rico. We just left Hawaii, in fact. So wherever Chick-fil-A has a footprint, our efforts are there. And so now we run corporate social responsibility at Chick-fil-A, which is an honor to do. But even more so, the honor is to give back to our community, because that's our reasonable service. How can we give back and how can we uplift the lives? So I'm proud of you, proud of the work that Big Brothers Big Sisters does. You all were our first nonprofit to receive a grant from the Chick-fil-A Foundation some years ago. And so that's still money well spent, my friend.
Definitely. No, we appreciate that. And your ongoing support of us here. And you mentioned the west side. We're right southwest now of Atlanta. We were in Midtown, and we wanted to get right into the community to better serve the community. So we're now a part of that and expanding our work all throughout the city. And your support definitely enables us to do more of that. So I wanted to shift to talk a little bit about mentorship and like what the role has played in your life. I know you recently wrote a book, Heroes Wanted. This is a great book, and
Thank you.
Talks about different heroes who I think are mentors. Mentors play a big role in people's lives. But what's the importance of mentorship to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I will do a shameless plug. I did write a book, Heroes Wanted. And the reason why I wrote the book, and I think the reason why it's important to this conversation, is I had a mentor in first grade. In first grade, I had a difficult time in school. I was not reading on grade level. And I had a first grade teacher who went the extra mile for me. And she called my mother and asked whether or not she could tutor me during the summer after school. And I was not party to that plan, so I wasn't really pleased with the plan. I didn't want to give up my summer, but we did. And this was a lady who frankly did not look like me, did not live in the same neighborhood than I did. I grew up in South DeKalb, Gresham, Flat Shoals Road. And she was in Avondale Estates, which for me at that time was far, far away, but is very close, but still very different from where I grew up. And she tutored me. And by the end of the summer, I was reading 2 and 3 grade levels ahead of my peers. And so, she was a mentor that invested in me, and that investment, I pray, still pays off day to day. But I've always believed in mentorship, both up and down. So I've always, and still to this day, have mentors, people who invest in me, and I seek mentors. But I also have been mindful of seeking mentorship and being the mentor. And so one of the programs that I'm proud about that Dan, Kathy, and I started at Chick-fil-A is a fellowship program by which a young man from Morehouse gets an opportunity to come and be a Chick-fil-A fellow and shadows us for a year or so, and then gets $25,000 to grad school. And so that's been a wonderful opportunity.
Wow.
And I dismount on this, Kwame. It was actually big brothers, big sisters that really helped me understand the importance of mentorship. So when I went to law school, I went to Duke Law in Durham, North Carolina. And I wanted to, for lots of reasons, but I think some of them were just facial reasons. I wanted to be a big. So I went to the local Big Brothers, Big Sisters program there, and I met this young man. And he was a great young man. And I spent a few minutes with him, and then I went by his house and come to find out he was a foster kid. And I probably spent a grand total of 2 or 3 days with him over maybe 6 months. And frankly, school got busy, I got busy, other things started to happen socially, and I fell off. And I was not in his life. And then I thought about it, and I thought about him, and I went back after about 6 months plus absence, and he had run away from home. And I don't know whether or not I could have kept him from running away from home. I don't know if our relationship would have deepened, but I do know this: I wasn't there for him. I know that I really didn't stand up to what I signed up for. And so that really still informs me to this day of the importance of what you do and the importance of this conversation. Because oftentimes people think of this as philanthropy or nonprofit, or it's pithy, or it's whatever. No, this is real life. This is leadership. These are lives that you get a chance to steward and to invest in. And as a big or a little, you really are impacted both ways. So thank you for what you do.
No, I appreciate it. And, it's rewarding every time I get to come into the office. I'm here now, and you see behind me some of the pictures of our littles at our annual gala we do, right? Where these young people are highlighted, them and their bigs, for the work that they do and their accomplishments. And this is something anyone can do, right? Anybody can be a mentor and lean in. And if you think about it, we've all had different people come in our lives. I've had multiple people, mentor me. One that I talk about in my book that I recently wrote, The Hope Inside. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you inspired me. I remember when you released yours. And, I had a third grade teacher, similar to your first grade teacher, who really believed in me. And she said, you're going to start the class with an A, and it's up to you to keep it. And just that little sort of change and that nuance motivated me in a very different way, right? So it's those type of people that come into your life that have small impacts, big impacts, and help us to get to where we are both today as leaders in the community. Who would be some other, as you think about your life, who would be a few other folks that come to mind that, you would consider a mentor, and how did they impact your life?
Yeah. You know, mentors come and go. I had a high school coach, Coach Clore at Redan High School, who was a wonderful mentor. And it's the little things, just like your third grade teacher told you, you start with an A, and it's just the change of certain things. And so he always told me that I could do anything, but he also told me that I could do anything, but I couldn't do anything and everything at the same time. So he taught me focus. And he said, Rodney, you just need to focus in. And if you focus in, you can do anything. And that was a wonderful lesson for me. And then also, there are mentors in your family. My grandmother was a wonderful mentor for me. She was a single Black woman in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who started her own 5 and dime store in the hood, quite frankly, in Chattanooga. And she ran it. And to be able to see her and see her determination and her skill, that was inspiring. But also it was something that she deliberately inculcated in me, that you, again, can do whatever you put your mind to. So mentorship has been key for me in so many different arenas. In the military, I had many mentors in the military. But I think it's important for us to think about that we have to be intentional about mentorship, whether we be intentional about seeking mentors or be intentional about being a mentor.
Exactly, right, and do it the right way. And that's what I love about Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We have 100 years of doing this work, best practices, making sure it's safe and structured for both sides, and that it's supportive. Most people don't know that when you become a big in our program, a mentor, you get a coach on our staff who actually walks with you through the life of the match to make sure you're successful, to set up goals and to troubleshoot and to really support you so you're not there on your own. And we continue to push for more mentors. We have a few hundred kids on our waiting list. And during National Mentoring Month, we're always trying to get the word out about, ways that different people can get involved to mentor and be a part of it. You did it when you were in college. And there's just a ton of people out there that could be doing it, but they may not know about it and understand what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really a big deal that you all take mentors or your bigs and your littles by the hand and you walk them through it, because it can be a daunting thing, this thought of mentorship. I love the commercials that are out there where it's clear that you don't have to be perfect to be a mentor.
Correct.
And oftentimes people think that you do have to be perfect, and that's never going to happen. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. And you don't have to be a superhero. You don't have to adopt a child. It's not foster care. It's, sometimes people think it's a big thing. And it's really, saying I can make this commitment, with us is for a year minimum. Because if you come in a young person's life and you leave within a year, you can do more harm. So we need that year, and we need some of your time throughout the month. But it's something, that you can do, and you can incorporate a young person into the work that you're doing. We're taking on this bold challenge of going deeper in communities. And one of those things we're doing through a pilot right now with the city of Atlanta, the United Way, is working with the young men they call the water boys, right? And the program, we've titled it the Young Entrepreneur Program, because these are young entrepreneurs and they need the support and guidance. And I had a chance to speak with the young brothers this past week about just my story and making bad decisions and going to prison and making a comeback through mentorship and achieving a lot of different things in my life. And I was just surprised by how many questions the young men had. They just had so many questions about, in particular, the criminal justice system. They didn't really understand how it works and the risks that are involved in some of the decisions they may or may not be making. So they just had so many questions. We ran out of time, and I'm going to go back this next week to talk to them more about it. But they're eager for mentorship. They're eager to learn. No one's born bad. We grow up in tough situations sometimes and may not have the right role models around us. But in my experience, I don't care if it's a water boy or Anthony, who I shared a cell with when I was in jail. These young men want a different life. That's right. And they want the best life. It's just our responsibility as adults to defend that potential that's there.
That's right. One of the things I think about as I listen to you talk about the water boys is expectations. Yeah. And I had an opportunity to spend some time in DC, and I'll never forget a quote that President George W. Bush had at the time. He said, "Our children suffer from the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Mm.
And a friend of mine is Wes Moore. He's running for governor in Missouri, and he wrote a book, The Other Wes Moore. And Wes talked about the difference in his life versus when he got in trouble initially, which he did, to now when he's doing great things, was he changed his expectations. That there was an expectation for greatness, this expectation that he was going to do great things, that he was going to be somebody. And that expectation is a small thing, but a huge determinant of how we actually live our lives. And so, I think it's important that as we talk to young people, we give them great expectations for themselves, that you can make all A's, that you can do this, you can go there, and that you should aspire to do those things. Doesn't mean it'll be easy, doesn't mean you won't fall or falter, doesn't mean you won't fail from time to time, but it does mean that that should be your expectation for your life.
You're right, and we are examples of that, right? And I'm no different than a water boy, and it's like you said, having the right people and having the expectation. And I talk a lot about empowerment. Young people need empowerment, someone to show them that they can do it on their own,
Yes.
not do it for them, but teach them how to fish. So that's really what we need more of. And I appreciate you being a leader and speaking about the power and importance of mentorship. So before we close out, I want to just thank you again for being a part of our mentor event this year, where we have different leaders like you who've dedicated an hour of their time to anybody who wants to support the work. We appreciate you agreeing to be a part of that. But why would you tell others to get involved in our iconic mentor auction this year, and also others to get involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters?
Yeah, I think that those reasons are one and the same. That our children are our most precious shared resource. And that if we really want to think about what the future looks like, it is determined by how we mentor, how we uplift, and how we guide our children of today. And so that's a collective responsibility. It takes a village, truly. And so if we want to give back, if we want to really lead, because I see this not just as mentorship, but I see this as leadership. And if we really want to be leaders, which I think is our responsibility, then Big Brothers, Big Sisters is a great avenue to do that.
Thank you. We appreciate that. For anybody who's watching and wants to get more involved, you can go to Big Brothers and Big Sisters Metro Atlanta website. We'll have that listed. You can learn more about our iconic mentor event, where we're having different leaders like Rodney and others be a part of this to support the work and uplift National Mentoring Month. So, Rodney, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
With me again. And I know you got a busy schedule. You got a lot going on all around the country and the world, should I say. And we appreciate you spending some time with us.
Truly my pleasure, man. Keep leading.